Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the shocking biological mechanics behind a seemingly harmless, but ultimately fatal, radio contest. We always hear about how we need to drink more water, right? But we are going to explore how something literally essential to human life can become a deadly poison in just a matter of hours. Okay, let's dive right into this terrifying medical ticking clock. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how incredibly fragile our body's internal balance really is. I mean, it's hard to even imagine that drinking plain water could cause your own brain to crush itself. But as we're about to see through the very precise laws of human anatomy and physics, our bodies are built on a delicate microscopic scale, a scale that simply cannot handle extreme sudden changes.
Section 1, a deadly radio contest. Hold your wee for a wee.
So let's set the scene here and understand how this incredibly bizarre situation unfolded. We're following the case of Casey, a 28-year-old premenopausal mother who entered a local radio contest. It was called Hold Your Wee for a Wee. The goal? Win a shiny new Nintendo console for her kids. And the rules were pretty simple. Drink up to 3 gallons of water in 2 hours without urinating and without vomiting. At the 0-minute mark, she actually finishes this 3 gallons of distilled water, literally fighting back extreme nausea. Just 20 minutes later, she's crowned the winner. But look at what happens next. Just 1 hour later, she develops a severe headache and begins losing her vision. And by the hour-and-a-half mark, while she's just resting in bed at home, she suffers her first silent, unconscious seizure. Meanwhile, her husband is sitting right in the next room, completely unaware, thinking she was just peacefully sleeping it off. On the frantic drive home from the radio station, so this is right before those seizures began, she was in tears. And she uttered this haunting phrase to her husband. She complained of this immense, unbearable pressure pushing from behind her darkening eyes. As doctors would very soon discover, saying, "I'm coming out of my skull," wasn't just some dramatic way to describe a bad headache. It turned out to be a horrifyingly literal description of what was physically happening inside her head. Section 2, the science of low sodium, acute hyponatremia. Fast forward to the emergency room. Paramedics have just witnessed her 6th seizure. Given her immediate medical history from the contest, the admitting doctors easily identified the culprit, acute hyponatremia. Let's break that medical jargon down for a second, because it's actually pretty straightforward. Hypo means low, nature refers to sodium, natrium on the periodic table, and anemia just means presence in the blood. The word acute tells us there were no underlying long-term diseases or pathophysiologic conditions causing this. It was just a sudden, severe lack of sodium in her blood, caused entirely by the massive volume of liquid she had just chugged.
The crucial number we really need to focus on here is 3. 3 gallons of water. And because her husband confirmed to the nurses that she hadn't urinated or vomited since the contest ended, there was 0 net flow out of her body. All of it. All 3 gallons of that water was physically trapped, just hanging around somewhere inside her body.
Section 3, anatomy and water retention. Where did it go? To figure out exactly where all that trapped water went, we really have to look closely at Casey's specific human anatomy. Female bodies naturally contain about 10% less water on average compared to male bodies. So the average female is composed of about 50% water, whereas the average male is about 60%. So why does this difference exist? Well, it all boils down to hormones. Because Casey was 28 and premenopausal, she naturally had high estrogen levels. And estrogen is a sex hormone that promotes the proliferation of fat tissue. Now, since fat is largely composed of oils, it inherently repels water, right? They just don't mix. Contrast that with a typical male body, where testosterone promotes muscle tissue, and muscle is a tissue that naturally holds onto water. So strictly because of her anatomy, Casey's body inherently held less water to begin with, which means she had way less capacity to safely absorb and dilute those 3 massive extra gallons compared to her male competitors. Section 4, the physics of fatal swelling, brain herniation. Let's see how this builds from just general gross anatomy down into a completely fatal physical reaction at the microscopic level. This step-by-step process of osmosis shows exactly what happens when chemistry meets anatomy. Step 1, Casey drank distilled water, which contains absolutely 0% sodium. Step 2, in the medical world, human body fluid inside our cells is usually normal saline, meaning it naturally has about 0.9% sodium. Now, because of an osmotic gradient, water always chases salt. So that pure distilled water rushed directly into her sodium-rich cells, causing organs like her liver and stomach to swell up. Now, the abdomen is relatively soft, so swelling there is mostly okay. But step 3, her brain cells also swelled. And the brain is trapped inside a hard, totally enclosed space, the skull. It only has enough room to expand its volume by about 8%. Once it hits that absolute limit, we reach step 4. The expanding brain tissue physically crushes its own blood supply against the bone, causing severe oxygen deprivation, which is known as hypoxia. The tissue literally starts to die. It's a catastrophic event known as herniation.
What we're really talking about here fundamentally is a massive disruption of hydrodynamic flow. The rules of fluid flowing through a cylinder were studied all the way back in 1840 by a French physician named Jean-Louis Marie Poiseuille. This disruption of vital flow is a really common thread in tons of sudden, fatal medical events. Whether it's a cocaine overdose causing the heart to beat wildly and pool blood into a clot that causes a stroke, or alcoholism scarring the liver and backing up blood until stomach veins literally burst, or even genetic tumors disrupting brain fluid flow to cause hydrocephalus. In Pacey's case, the hyponatremia disrupted the vital flow of blood and oxygen to her brain. Continuous, uninterrupted flow is quite literally the engine of our survival. Section 5. A rare biological glitch, the SIADH condition. But wait, there is a huge lingering mystery here. You might be wondering, why didn't her body just force her to urinate out the excess water and save her life? The answer lies in this terrifyingly long medical term, SIADH, or Syndrome of Inappropriate Antidiuretic Hormone. A diuretic makes you urinate, so an antidiuretic hormone, which is formally known as vasopressin, tells your kidneys to stop peeing and hold onto your fluids. Casey's body inappropriately flooded her system with this exact hormone. So why did her body do that? Well, it goes right back to the radio contest itself. Right after finishing the 3 gallons, she gripped the armrest of her chair, fighting off extreme nausea so she wouldn't vomit and lose the game. Tragically, severe nausea is a highly powerful stimulus for that antidiuretic hormone. Her body's natural defense mechanism completely backfired. Her brain thought, hey, we are extremely nauseous, we are about to vomit and lose a ton of vital fluid. So it triggered a complete antidiuretic lockdown. It sealed the exits and trapped all 3 gallons of that toxic, salt-free water inside her body. It was a rare and ultimately fatal glitch.
Section 6. The cure and the truth. Reversing the flow.
Okay, now that we understand the incredibly complex mechanics of how this happened, let's explore how doctors can actually treat this. The treatment uses the exact same physical laws that caused the crisis in the first place. The cause was 0% sodium water rushing into her 0.9% sodium cells. So to fix it, doctors must create a stronger reversed osmotic gradient. The solution is to pump a highly salted 3% hypertonic sodium infusion directly into her veins. Because water follows salt, this incredibly salty fluid literally acts as a magnet. It draws the excess trapped water out of her brain tissue back into her bloodstream to prevent permanent brain herniation. Now, in the specific scenario we just walked through, the doctors recognize the symptoms in time, they administer the infusion, and Casey wakes up. However, we have to acknowledge a darker truth here. This survival narrative is actually a modified medical training case. It was originally presented at a grand rounds in central New Jersey, designed to give medical residents a perspective on treating SIADH. The real-life radio contest tragedy it is based on actually ended fatally. The real victim's brain did herniate, serving as a very sobering, very real lesson for medical professionals everywhere. So this leaves us with a pretty chilling thought to mull over. We are basically walking, talking chemistry experiments. If something as pure, basic, and absolutely essential to our daily survival as plain water can physically crush your brain in a matter of hours simply due to a shift in salt percentages, what else do we fundamentally misunderstand about the incredibly fragile, delicate balance that dictates our survival every single second? Thank you for exploring this fascinating, if totally terrifying medical mystery with me. Keep asking questions and never underestimate the power of the physics happening right now inside your own cells.